Welcome back, Senator. Great to have you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. I always say this is one of my favorite questions because the answers are usually amazing. Influencers come in all sizes, shapes, 1 second, a lifetime, whatnot. Can you share with us 1, 2, or 3 people that have truly been influencers in your life?
There's been so many, Mark, and I've learned from so many people. But I've got a problem. If I mention one executive, there's going to be so many others that are going to say, hey, what about me? But I'll mention, besides my parents, because, and my parents are not on technology, they'll never know. And my dad, he, just wanted us to be, honest citizens, have a great education and be healthy. I mean, he lived the post-war, World War II. My grandfather, my mom was, second to last in a family of 7 children, and her father died in the Second World War. So we saw poverty. I lived the full cycle when they immigrated to Canada and what have you. So my parents are definitely there. But before I talk about my parents, and why my parents, maybe I can finish up with my parents and then talk about another influencer. My parents, I mean, they had the courage, very young. My mom, I was born in 1962. And my mom was born in 1941, so she was 21 when I was born. And she would tell me, I've been married for 35 years, and she would tell me and they had all these sayings from the villages. They didn't have the education. In 2nd grade, they had to go work. They were poor. But all these sayings that made part of their education. Yeah. And one of the sayings was, she would tell me, education is important, hard work is important. I started to work at 13 in a bakery just to learn the value of $1. But she would say, what's most important in life is relationships. Yeah. And when you get married, because in her era, you got married, it was for life. It was very little divorce. Yeah. And she goes, my mom used to always tell me one thing: when you get married, you're either reborn or you die. And what I recommend to you, you find the nicest girl and do it quickly, because if you wait too long, all the nice girls are taken. So I listened to her, and I'm happily married for 35 years. I married a great lady. We had 2 wonderful kids, and they had an impact and influence on your life just by the sayings. And, you say, he chose his parents, but it's so true. And my dad, I remember, and I wasn't a great athlete. I wish I was, Mark. I wish I was, but I wasn't. And until 16, I look back today and I said, until 16, I wanted to be a professional hockey player. Boy, how dumb were you? You didn't have that talent. You were not even close to being there. But 16, we still believed in that. And my dad would see, and the point I'm making, my dad would probably see 1 or 2 games a year. We'll come and see. Because to him, watching your son play or watching your child have fun was a waste of time. He had to be working. He had to be putting food on the table. He had 2 jobs. And, my mom would have worked at Red Rose Tea from 4 in the afternoon till midnight. My dad would come home at 9. My brother was 9 years younger. And guess who babysat my brother? It was me. I was 9 years old. Today you say that, they'd say, this is criminal. You can't have a 9-year-old babysitting his brother. I did that. But it was a different era, a different time. My mom would call me every hour on the hour, every 2-minute break she'd have. How's it going? How's Nick doing? And then when my sister was born in 1975, then my mom kind of got another job and, stayed home. And my dad always had the 2 jobs. So, and work, the loyalty he had. He worked in a factory, and he worked almost for the same owners for all his life. And he said, you would say, you know what you leave, but you never know what you find. I have it good here. They have me working every day. Sunday nights we'd get along. We'd put the tickets. He'd get paid 27 cents for a regular mattress, 31 cents for a king size. We count it, and I can tell you, some Sunday nights I'd see the fear in his eyes. We have enough for the week. And so I love my parents. They've influenced my life in many different ways. And the third person, I can mention many, but the third person that influenced me a lot was, and I did a nice post this week on my social media outlets, is Robert Millien, turned 100 years old.
I saw that. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and he's influenced me in many different ways. And we started the elite soccer, women's elite soccer in Montreal. There wasn't any before we started the Club de Soccer Elite Montreal Concordia. There was men's elite soccer, youth, boys youth elite soccer, in many forms and many different sizes and shapes. But Montreal wasn't performing on a national level. We started the Club de Soccer Elite Montreal Concordia way back in the late 90s, early 2000, and 15 provincial championships and five national trophies and different titles, and we've had so much fun with it. And I learned so much from him. He had a laser focus on details. He would say to me, once you get to a certain level, may it be an executive level or business level or corporation or athlete or as a person, many are all there. They're at the same level. What makes the difference, what will differentiate you from others, are that one extra push-up, that one extra book you read, that one extra statement you remember. And the details are so important. And today with social media, we forget to focus on details sometimes. We read quickly, we do things quickly, we think quickly, but sometimes, we need time to think, especially what I'm doing right now. A senator needs time to think. Yep. And when I got there, one of the wisest senators at the time, the government representative, told me, he says, I see you're everywhere and you're dynamic, you're energetic, and the energy is great, but don't forget one thing. Senators need time to think. And thinking was so important to Robert Midien. Thinking was so important. Details were so important to him. And empathy and youth. And he would tell me one other thing, and I'll end on that. I don't want to make it too long, but it's doing him justice to I always say it's about everybody else, right? He would say one thing. He would say, it's about winning is not the sole purpose of what we're doing here. Winning will be a consequence. If we win, it's a consequence. A consequence of what? Consequence of our values, consequence of our hard work, consequence of our mission is not to win. Although we did a lot of winning, may I say, and it's more his merit than my merit. So it's to justify what he's done, why he's influenced my life greatly. He not only did he know his soccer, he knew life, and he's 100 years old, so he did something right along the way. Genes play a big part also, yes, but he says it's a consequence, and the consequence is it's our values. We have to live our values. We have to, we have to do that one more push-up, and we have to believe in our youth. Our mission is developing global citizens, developing great people. That's our mission, he says, our youth mission. It's not winning the game. I want to develop great youth. Now, how do we do that? They got to give it their all. They got to give 100% on the field. They've got to listen to what we're trying to tell them. They've got to be disciplined. They've got to train when they have to train. They have to eat properly, sleep properly. I can go on and on, but you know where I'm going with all that. And he says the consequence will be we win. But we're not obsessed with winning, and we weren't. And we did so much of it. So Robert Midien influenced my life in many, many, many different ways. And this is important. So if you take my two parents and Robert Midien, and I'm very passionate about it, I can talk for hours about them, and I love them dearly all.
Well, we'll have a sequel for that, but I really appreciate you sharing that, because I could relate. I had coaches in Montreal that said the same thing. As long as you're trying your best and you're paying attention and you're giving it your all, the winning will come. And it applies to business too. It's not about the money per se. That will come also if you follow the same values. So the passion, the values, the influencers, great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark, for having me. It's my pleasure, and wishing you the very best. Stay safe, keep well.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.